Okay, dokie. Everyone good?
Yes.
Okay, so then let's go ahead and get started. So everyone who is here currently with us and anyone who's watching it later after this panel or as this video is posted online, welcome to this virtual data science career panel. This panel has been brought to you by the Women in Data Science Stillwater, which is an independent regional event under the larger flagship of Women in Data Science. If you want to find out more about Women in Data Science, I will shortly be posting a link on the chat box to their website and to an introductory video. And also as a part of this series, we will be hosting a page on the on Oklahoma State University's Computer Science Department website, where we'll be uploading a lecture series along with this the video of this panel, so that students who couldn't join us right now can take a look at it later on. So without further ado, I am Ritika, currently an assistant professor in the Computer Science Department of Oklahoma State University, and I'll be your host today to moderate the panel. And just very briefly, the purpose of this panel is to provide information that will help our students or anyone watching this video who is interested in pursuing a data science career or just data science in college. And in order to provide a comprehensive overview, we have gathered this wonderful group of panelists with us. They all have very diverse research and also are at different stages of their life, different stages of their career. So we hope to provide some diversity of information there. So let's go ahead and introduce our panelists. First off, we have Dr. Ezra Abbas, who is an assistant professor in the computer science department at Georgia State University. And she's a very successful researcher who is involved in analyzing large-scale data sets using graph mining. Next, we have Dr. Habibi, who is also an assistant professor in the School of Computer Science at University of Oklahoma. And she has had great success in her research as well on robotics and computer science. And last but not least, we have Sadia Kamal, a third-year PhD student at Oklahoma State University, and her research focuses on analyzing social text data to understand political dynamics. So, how are you guys today? Doing good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for the invitation. Yeah, to be here.
It's my pleasure. Actually, Sadia has been helping me organize this event. She's the ambassador. I'm just the supervisor this time. So I'm helping her, I should say. It's the other way around. And I really am very interested in learning a lot, learning more about your research, and we'll get into that during the later part of the discussion. But just to begin this discussion, I want you to think back to the time when you were a K-12 student, right? So did you know back then that you will end up analyzing data for your career? Did you know that you had an interest in STEM? Like, how did you find that out? What guided you? How did you what helped you come to that decision? Maybe we'll start with Dr. Habibi.
Sure. Thanks for the introduction. So regarding my experience, it's actually maybe different story about other compared to maybe some others. So I was very passionate about actually more electrical engineering major. So during my high school time, so I remember I bought like the kit, the kind of the very small kit that we have it for the just doing the very simple electric board for different interesting thing. Even you hear the noise from the sound from the potato, I would say. So I started with electrical engineering. I remember that I was consulting about even my major, and I remember that I actually kind of hate computer science, so that I didn't choose any like even that major when I started. But after I started my EC department and working on that, I see that I'm more toward artificial intelligence and how we can having robotics and having actually robotics and with an intelligent brain. So that's that I start thinking of that I need to have it computer science knowledge, and I see that's very interesting domain. So during actually my undergraduate, actually toward the end in my senior level, so senior study, I figure out that that's what I am going to do next. And I continue as my graduation, and then basically I did more on the data science, and basically more in my during my PhD as well as my postdoc. Then I see that how actually data science and data in general, data mining and machine learning, how we can use this data and collect the data for specifically more on the autonomous agent, specifically the robotic system.
So like when you were at K-12, you already knew you wanted to be an engineer.
Sorry, what's the question
So
again?
you already knew you wanted to be an engineer when you were a high school student.
Yes, that's the thing. Before that, I didn't say. I don't know how many minutes I have. It's a longer story, but one thing is about before I started to think about the electrical engineering the area and the program. I had a very good background in biology, so I wanted to take. I mean, I was not sure that which direction I want to take, but on the other side, I really love mathematics, and in my country, that usually when you have a very good skill in mathematics, you go to the engineering. So that's a kind of that also the environment helped me that I choose this direction as well. But I see also I myself that I really like also electronic devices and how we can build different electronic boards. So yeah, it's kind of, but previously before I started as my high school, I was more on the be a doctor, actually medical doctor, not the engineering doctor.
Gotcha. But like, that's a very interesting combination, right? You started with biology, found yours, but knew about your strength in math, found electrical engineering, but then moved on to computer science because like you ultimately decided to be an AI, which is like in almost everything that we can think, a lot of it that we can think about when thinking about STEM, right?
Yes. Yeah, actually, that's the thing. That like now, actually, because I love biology, I started some collaboration with the microbiology department. So I think I'm going on that direction as well. I hope that also still, but I need to learn many things in that domain because I'm very not far from that, but they do in this domain. But we see that today everything's combined. So we have the machine learning and data science in medical, in the health science, and it's very useful. And we see that very much a promising result that we can get with the data driven algorithm.
Yeah, and like, that's one of the reasons like I got into data science because like it's one of those fields that can help you combine like, a dozen other fields into one research problem. Yeah, so that's very exciting. So let's have Dr. Adva share her thoughts. Same question, like, it's K-12, like what guided you into data science, starting from K-12?
Yeah, of course, in high school, we don't know much about the data science, but in STEM, I like kind of similar and the difference with the Dr. Habibi. Like in Turkey also, when you are good at math, you will go medical school or you will go engineer. I didn't want to do both at the beginning. I want to be a teacher or actually maybe the pharmacy. But then later, somehow I end up in computer science. Uh,
How?
yeah, it's kind of
Magical.
funny. Like my father met with a computer scientist, and she talked a lot, like the good side of it. Then I say okay, and then I'm choosing that. But like when I go to college, like I see that it's really that what I like because I like problem solving actually. That's why I like the math also. The we are solving the problems. Like I also like the physics. Like there are some real world problems, or you try to understand the reasons behind that and come up some solutions. That's what I like in computer science also in general. There are some problems. We are using some algorithmic techniques or codings to solve those problems. That's what I like in data science also. Like I am during my undergraduate, I start doing research in data science, when I read some papers, like I really love that, like they are solving real problems. My first project is about location detection. We use wireless sensor signal strengths to find the locations. Like the computer can learn something that's amazing. Actually, we can teach something to, or like with algorithms from data, we can extract knowledge, the novel knowledge that's not seeable. That's the good side, like that I like in data science. So also as you mentioned, uh, whatever we like other than computer, we can combine with it. Like even with math, we can use for some math problems, we can use some mathematical models. With if you like biology, we can combine. Like even I like now I am working on some drug related medical domain where we use our algorithms for some drug related problems like finding new drugs, drug repurposing, or uh, some drug interaction. So you can combine with everything that you like. That's what I like. Yeah, so I end
Um,
up data
yeah, and
science.
I think like like combining different fields, and that came up with Dr. Habibi as well. And I think two other things that I think, I mean, strikes me and makes me feel good about it is one, you had a women role model to show you that like you can use your interest in problem solving, or your um, knack for problem solving. You can do that in compute, like you can, computer science is like the perfect subject or the perfect field to utilize that potential for like completely, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and and you're absolutely right. Like, getting information, like turning data into information, right? That is very exciting, and making machines learn. I mean, turning our machines into intelligent beings, if you will. I
Yeah,
mean,
as we see
that's
now with
that.
ChatGPT, how much it can be it can learn. That's very
It is,
great
it is a great
timing.
experience.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's move on to Sadia. Same question. What guided you, starting from K-12, what guided you to be here today?
So I also kind of have the similar story like Dr. Habib and Dr. Abbas. So during my high school times, I was kind of, sure that I'm gonna end up in engineering,
Mhm.
but I did not know about computer science, that I'm gonna do computer science. I thought I'll start with electrical engineering, but then what made me to switch computer science, I don't know. So during my undergrad, when I was taking courses like artificial intelligence, data mining, then I came to know about some interesting tests, which is Turing test. So it got me into thinking, like, how can a machine, behave like a human being, like it can answers like human being, and how does this machine learn? So if you see some similar things that goes around our daily lives, like when you turn on Netflix, then whenever you're watching a movie, some similar type of movies comes into your recommendation, and you actually end up liking those movies or series. So this thing kind of uh, seems very fascinating to me. How does this machine learn? How does it learn which movies I'm gonna like next? So what actually happens in the background? That seemed really interesting to me. That is the time when I realized I'm gonna move my career further with data science, and I'm gonna learn more about these. How does these things work?
And one thing I am realizing as I'm hearing you guys is that when I was in college, I wanted to do neuroscience, but it was AI that made me take computer science. And it's like, as you say, Sadia, that data science just seems to be like the first precursor to doing AI, right? Now that we have, I mean, we all seem to have a similar background in that we were trying to do engineering or biology or some other kind of sciences, but somehow magically computer science found us and we went into data science. To get a better idea about what data science is, Dr. Akbas, if I told you to define data science or the field of data science briefly, how would you define it?
Yeah, in general, the data science is extracting the knowledge from data. Like we have very large data sets everywhere. We are producing every day maybe gigabytes of the data or more. Like we are using social media, we are posting many things. There are many videos coming, like many different types of data coming. When we look at all these large data, it is not easy to understand that completely. So data science is using some tools, some algorithms to extract some patterns, some knowledge from there that we can use for the future predictive analysis. That's, I think,
Um,
shortly
That's
definition
a
for
very
you.
good, that's a very good, I mean, within the time that we have, that's a very good definition, I would say. But like, oftentimes we hear the word data scientist, we hear the word data analyst, and then we have data engineer, and we have statistician, right?
Mhm.
How do you think, like, is there any difference between them? Like, can they be used synonymously? Like, why do we need so many different nouns to describe someone involved in data science?
Yeah, you are right. Actually, there are many different definitions, but different words for this. But data science is very large area. There are many things to do in that, and many different roles. Even there are some overlaps between these. There are some difference also. Like in maybe in general data analysis, just they use some tools to extract some interpretable data knowledge from the data. They analyze, they create some data reports, develop some visualization without developing more complex tools. Just they apply current one and extract some results. And for data engineer, is mostly about the storing and the reaching the data, how we will store that large data, how we will process it, like using those parallel system, distributed system like Hadoop, like that kind of thing. And then the data scientists actually more maybe in general in data scientists actually more they develop the tools, complex models to extract those knowledge from data for a specific problem. We develop those tools actually. Uh, and also I think, yeah, the data scientists use some machine learning tools or machine learning algorithms, statistical models like they can use to solve these complex problems. And the statisticians, I think, kind of similar, but they use more statistical models and test some hypotheses, whether they are, and also analyze the results, whether they are significantly important or not. But yeah, as we see, there is overlap and there is some difference between them.
So just to summarize what you said, so data science, since we are working with data, needs to be stored, needs to be maintained, and a large part of what the data engineers do is making sure that the data is being stored and maintained properly, right? Whereas data analysis is people who work with data, they are making conclusions from data, but they're probably using existing tools to analyze the data, whereas data scientists are more like the developers who are trying to create new technology in order to handle the challenges that are in data science. And then statisticians, like they can be data analysts, they can be data engineer, they can be data scientists as well, but they use a specific tool set, which is statistics. Yes? Did I summarize that correctly?
Yes, actually, yeah, that's what I know about this area.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else.
Great. So my next question will be to Dr. Habibi, and like Dr. Abbas kind of mentioned it a little bit already. And that's like, what's the role of machine learning and AI in data science? I mean, if there is any, like, how do they connect? Why are they separate? Like, but and if they connect, what would be some daily examples that we see in our daily life?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in terms of the AI in general, I mean, it's a just broader aspects of the intelligence. So is any machine that can behave or think, usually intelligently, they call it for some artificial intelligence. So, but it's not necessary that it needs to have a part of learning. So we have a part of the machine learning, part of the AI that is focused on the machine learning. And then we have, for example, today we have the deep neural network and deep learning. So it's kind of, we can consider the three circles or three areas. We have the broader circle, which is AI, and robotics and AI, for example, robotics, again, it could not necessarily as an AI, but it's have some overlapping with AI. So we have one circle as a robotics. It is overlapping with AI, which is artificial intelligence. But inside artificial intelligence, we have a smaller circle, which is machine learning and data science. So, and then the data science could be also using machine learning. Again, data science similar to the robotics, there are another circle that can have some overlap with machine learning. So not necessary that all the data science needs to be like a learning part so involved. And then that's actually the way that we can consider. So, but of course, today, with especially recently, I should say that more like from 2012, that we have a lot of data set available, and then we have the very powerful and efficient processors and different GPUs and even CPUs today. It's similar to the GPUs we have in the past. So it's just possible and make it practical, more like machine learning techniques that we use, for example, especially for the deep neural network. So that's why that we see that now that is kind of the it's kind of most of the like data science or overlapping with machine learning techniques, because you can get much more promising result, um, that, for example, extracting the features and also learning the features. So this is part of this before machine learning was born, that everything is, we have to manually pick that features, but now we can learn that features, for example, using convolutional neural network. So and then you asked me also the question to answer your question about the daily usage. We have now again everything that we of course that some of them already is there. So if you open your computer, just open your browser, you see that we have Chat GPT, you have Alexa. So you have different devices. Even now the fridge are smart. They can have connected to Amazon and having your, for example, you can use Amazon for shopping, as also Sadia mentioned, that, for example, recommendation of the movies, for example, in Netflix, all this is, we use it actually, machine learning. Even we don't know that, we use all of these advances in machine learning and AI. So yeah, so it's not actually limited to anything. And yeah, I hope that I answered your question.
No, yeah, absolutely. So, like, let me just summarize for our viewers. So basically, from what I got from what you were saying is that uh, we need data to train machine learning models, but data science can exist on its own without machine learning, and then AI too can exist without data and without machine learning, but it's just that when we connect the two or the three together, we just get better performance from the machine, right?
Yeah, AI, I mean, machine learning is a part of the AI, but data science can use machine learning as a very powerful and accurate tool. So that's, but machine learning would be inside AI, is a part of AI, I should say. AI, I'm saying that is a part of AI. AI doesn't use machine learning. Machine learning is also AI.
Okay, got you, got you. So you think machine learning is a subset of AI? It's
Yes.
contained within AI. It has, okay,
Yes.
gotcha. Okay. And okay, and then you did mention, like, the examples of Alexa, like, AI seems to be all around us all of a sudden that we don't even notice it anymore, right?
Yeah, it's every background. Even like you have used your Siri, for example, your phone. You can search. Yeah, anywhere. Even like a smart home, so you can have it in different way in the cars. So they even not self-driving cars yet, but a lot of capability. You can have a cruise mode. You can have like a situation that they maybe it warns you if, for example, there are some like distractions. So all this already implemented that even we don't know about it. But I think that one of the easiest ones just search engine. If you open your computer and search something that now today it uses actually all these machine learning techniques to have a better searching, and it finds some good search and related to what you have done before, also maybe related, so you can keep the history of you what you are usually searching. So maybe if you are a person that in more in science, so search more on that. I mean, it gives you that result on that domain. So and for the flight booking, right, for anything that you can think about, again, Amazon or other shopping. So that's other, or also even in the email. Now you see that when you write the email, it gives you a suggestion that how you can, for example, complete your sentence. So all these are AI here, so you can feel, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so my next question is to help viewers who maybe hasn't had the opportunity to explore data science or AI or machine learning yet. So my question is if I'm a beginner and I have no idea where to begin, what would be a good source to start? And can I do it on my own? Can I learn the material on my own, or do I need a mentor to do to learn about data science? And if so, what kind of mentor am I looking for? For this, Sadia, we will begin with you.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Shamsuddin. So in this modern age of internet, we can find numerous resources available online. So if I were a beginner and I were to start my journey in data science, I think Google would be my first choice. So everything can be Googled. So, and also there are great courses available on Coursera, Udemy. There are some introductory courses like Introduction to Machine Learning, Introduction to Data Science, and a lot of them are free. And some of them might come with a cost, but you can get discounts as a student also. And to begin with data science, I think it would be great if you start doing everything practically. Like if you get your hands on learning from the machine learning tools like scikit-learn, Keras, TensorFlow have. They have great documentation in their websites. You can just take the code from there and execute it by your own. But if you're wondering where can you get data sets, right? Data set can be difficult to get on your own. So there is Kaggle, which can be a great resource to find some data sets. People are uploading their data sets, their programs continuously. So if you have any specific area where you want to start from, like recommender systems, maybe Netflix or anything actually, you can find some great data sets from Kaggle. So I guess these resources would be quite helpful for somebody who is a beginner.
So if I just once again connecting everything together, start with Google, looking for data set, ask Google to give you some data set, looking for a tutorial, ask Google to give you some tutorial or to spit out an API. Google has it all. And then you say like one of the most used databases that a lot of learners use is Kaggle, which has a lot of great machine learning data sets where you can apply. And if I'm not mistaken, Kaggle also comes with a lot of code samples, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
So I would like to just mention another thing. I think YouTube can be a great learning platform. So whenever I start with some concept that I have very limited idea, I always look for some tutorials on YouTube as well. So there are some great learning materials available over there also.
And just to circle back, you also mentioned Coursera as something they can
Mhm,
watch and learn along with YouTube. And you did mention that like they can enroll for free. They can audit the course, and some of them are
mhm.
some of them offer discounted price. Those are great. So according to you, like you don't really need a mentor to start dabbling with data science. Yes.
I guess so. I mean, thanks to my advisor, he has helped me in many ways, and he has given me the direction to where can I start or where can I learn from. I think, yeah, if you can find a mentor, that would be just great.
So having a mentor helps, but once again, like it's not necessary. Yes.
It's not absolutely mandatory, yes.
Okay. Dr. Abbas and Dr. Habibi, do you want to add anything to like mentoring or like resources that you think are good to like beginners or beginning data science journey into data science?
I think
Go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, as Sadia said, like you can of course learn. Like we are living in the area that you can find everything online and with Google, but it is not that easy to find the correct resources, from where to start. So it is not the mandatory, but highly suggested to have a mentor because like he or she can help you where to start, from where to find those resources, how to understand like when you get stuck, you can reach like especially like if you are undergraduate students or graduate students, like mostly graduate students usually have mentors, but for undergraduate, if they want to learn data science, I think they can reach faculties in their department. They will be very happy to help them. Start with some small projects with them, work with them. So you, with these small steps, you can learn uh, easily and quickly than walking in alone thing. So that's, I think the mentor is very important. And also finding a good mentor is also important. That's another point. Like you should be careful about selecting a mentor.
Excellent point. Like, do you have any things like any particular features that the student should, or like our viewers should pay attention to when trying to look for a data science mentor?
Uh, like first, maybe it is good idea to talk with his or her student, previous students, to get some idea about the personality that's important for a mentor. Other than that, I think the looking what it is, the mentor is working, like the area, whether you will like it or not. Also, like whether he's or she's publishing current papers, in which area, where. Uh, Maybe yeah, those are the starting point to
Those
look at
are
it.
those are great points. Dr. Habibi, do you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I think already Saria and Dr. Akbas mentioned about all many things. So I could add two more things. One of them, of course, if you are in the school, if there's a course, I mean, of course, if you are not at the school, so you could take, of course, very good online courses as Sadia mentioned that is. But also, if you are in a school, there are many courses I think today in many schools that they have um, in person, so you can go there. So in machine learning, data science, so and also even in the maybe they have if there's other college that is nearby in the same city, they can maybe take a course there. So this is one idea, and then yeah, I agree that maybe in many cases you don't need a mentor, but as Dr. Akbas mentioned, that is also, if we don't know that where we should start, definitely if we can talk to the faculties, or again, or even if you have a course, there's a course there, the instructor of that course would be one of the, I think, good mentor for that specific area in machine learning and data science. And also in terms of the data science and also the data sets, and as well as the the existing project that you can start with. Today, many machine learning techniques they provide GitHub, so you can use some and implement it. Even like you can just implement it. So you can get familiar with not just the data science and machine learning, also you get familiar how you can install packages, how we get use packages, because it's also other point now is in machine learning is that how we actually use the other works, existing work. But of course, it would be more advanced level. So I think I would not go first jump to the GitHub, because it is kind of disappointing because a lot of challenges, not just learning the data science, also you need to practice more programming part and also dealing with installing different packages.
So what I'm hearing is that depending on which stage of your career you're in, mentoring might be very useful. And then in order to get better at data science, you need to practice. You need to enjoy programming, because there's a lot of programming involved. And as you keep evolving, explore different packages, different ways to do version control, and start sharing your code. You will start developing resources yourself that then others can use to learn. It goes a full cycle, right? We start from looking at other people's work, and then we want to produce our work so that other people can learn, and that cycle continues. That's great.
I have one thing I just want to add quickly. Also, based on my experience, sometimes also I encourage all the students and suggest that don't be shy. When I was in the master part, it's not I was not working actually on the machine learning part at the moment, but I was working on the control engineering system. And there was a famous author from INRIA in France that I read that paper. I tried to implement his paper, and maybe many people they don't have this kind of thing, that is oh, maybe he's not going to reply to you, but I sent him email and asked him the question about this paper, and he was actually very nice, and he was actually kind of helping you for actually writing a paper at the end. So it's kind of helping all the time, that even giving a lot of good suggestion. I'm saying that sometimes your mentor would be just a virtual mentor, so you don't need to have it a person in a school and nearby. You can have the mentor even out of your country, and you can still get very good advice.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. And my next question kind of goes a little bit deeper into your research, and I'll mainly address Dr. Akbas and Habibi, or aim the question towards Dr. Akbas and Habibi. Sadia, I promise I'll come back to you in the next question. So my question to you is, can you briefly describe what your research is? What is your research area? Why do you do it? Why is it important? What are some of the tools you use? And what are and when you are hiring students to recruiting students to work for you, what are you looking for in those students with respect to your research? And maybe also if you want to share a challenge you faced as a researcher or as a scientist or even as a woman, in this career that you chose for yourself. Dr. Akbas, we'll start with you.
Yeah, in general, my area is the data science because we are here. Specifically, my focus is on the relational data, so graph machine learning and the graph mining. And also I work on some text data from the social network, actually, social network analysis. We developed some novel algorithms in this area, and also we apply those algorithms for different real world problems in different domain, but mostly in medical and drug domain. Like we work on drug-drug interaction problem, drug repurposing problem, a sequence classification problem. We develop different graph machine learning algorithms, like we create the novel graph structure and also novel machine learning algorithms for this graph to make some prediction on that. In general, my area and the projects are on this topic. For me, why it is important, actually, I like the relational data because the relations is everywhere. We can define the relations in all data sets, that's the for me becoming like the extracting the knowledge when we understand these relations it gives us the future direction. So, and last couple years with the graph neural networks, like after 2017, uh, everything is coming to the end, the graph machine learning. Like it's applied to almost all area, from like the Uber to as I said, the medical domain. Many in industry also, the many industry use those graph machine learning because we can, as I said, we can define those relations. And when we use the graph, especially the heterogeneous graph, we can combine different types of data in one domain. That's the great advantage. In regular machine learning, it like somehow it should be from same domain, or we should convert them to the same domain. But in graph, we can combine that they don't need to be from same domain. We can combine everything in one model and learn all together. That's a great advantage. That's what I like. For students, for me especially, in general, is to work in this area, we should love learning. That's always improving area. So we should learn always. We should love reading papers. We already learn from that. That's first point that I am looking. But in specifically for my area, the machine learning and data mining background would be the advantage to start with. But that's not, of course, necessarily like they can learn, but at least should be interested in those.
I completely agree with you when you said that graph neural network is everywhere. So I normally focus on like clinical data sets, but like recently I have also been like, tried to incorporate and model proteins, and like, I ended up with like, graph representation of the data sets and the like, information, and you are
Mhm.
right. Like it's a great way of like, combining data from different domain, and it is very useful, like, not only in academia, but in industry as well. And I love what you said about your students, that an aptitude you need. What's important, like, to get into data science is an aptitude for learning new things and an aptitude for reading papers, because if we don't know what, like, our peers did before us, we would be just like, reinventing the wheel instead of creating new wheels, right? And like, I think one of the biggest challenge I have with my new students is getting them to read the papers. So absolutely, like machine learn, like, having a Coursera certificate or a course in machine learning or data science is a plus, but what's more important is that aptitude for learning, and like, learning from reading papers to learn from what other people have done. Absolutely. Dr. Habibi?
Sure. So regarding my research, so most of my focus in start with actually robotics and AI, how I can having AI in robotics applications. So basically mostly focus on the autonomous navigation and autonomous vehicles, mostly for both the aerial vehicles and the ground vehicles. So both self-driving cars and also autonomous drones. And when I also since joining University of Oklahoma, because we have a very good potential collaboration with National Weather Center. So I started working on the autonomous drone for the weather drones, how we can have a drone for predicting the different weather conditions, and also how we can use drone for the monitoring any situation like inspecting if some damages from some basically some um, sorry the what were the some disasters happen, for example tornado, because it's common here. So basically this is the focus of my research, and then how we can have it actually multi-agent system, not just one intelligent system, how we can have a interaction between different agents, both human robot interaction as well as the agent interaction. So how we can model it, as also you mentioned about the graph, and also Dr. Akbas mentioned. Actually, graph also was my favorite because we can create and model this interaction between different agents. So how we can share the data and not just the like data itself for each agent, how you can share and exchange the data between different agents and among different agents. And we see that actually having all the data in one agent maybe is not efficient. We have a lot of data for processing in real time. So we need to have some framework that we can having like the data distributed version. And recently we start working on the federated learning and split learning. That is the topic that we can have sharing the data, not sharing the raw data. We can share the model between different agents. So which is very efficient, and also still we keep the privacy in many applications. So, but in terms of the having all this AI and data science that we want to use it for the real hardwares and real real world problem, especially for as I said, self-driving cars. So we already have the race car at our lab that we built, and we want to have implementation all for the self-driving scenarios with different cars and different capability with the sensors, and how we can fuse also the data from different sensors and the source resources. For example, we have cameras, we have the LiDAR, how we can, for example, fuse this data together. So this is regarding more on my research area. So it would be in the spans in robotics, machine learning, multi-agent systems, and yeah, multi-agent systems, and this area, and on computer vision, of course. In terms of the students, so I also agree with you and Dr. Akbas about having a student to have this tendency to learn and also to never give up. So, and having persistent learning, not, I see that sometimes a student, then they, for example, try it, and we know that in the research timeline, we have some flat curve that we don't have any like progress. But that's absolutely normal. That's a research nature. You have to just to be consistent, just continue your working and learning, and do more like research to figure out and fix that issue. So that's very important for me, that if I have the student with this personality, that they really want to solve the problem and persistent to solving that, and having good team working, because usually my work is like not just one student involved, so we have a multidisciplinary work, and of course, if they have the knowledge in the background, good background in the statistics and machine learning, that would be great. But again, if they have the personality that they try to learn and continue learning and never giving up, so still maybe with the not necessarily the background in machine learning, you should be good. Yeah, I think that's most about and you also asked about what tools that we use in our lab. We usually use different languages. We use ROS, which is one of the popular operating system for robotics. We have ROS operating systems, and ROS also is program that framework that you can run different codes concurrently. For example, running the sensors at the same time that you run the, for example, computer vision algorithm, or like tracking, or for example, navigation and moving at the same time. So the code could be, they call us like a node. So this node can be written in Python or C++ or different languages. So we are working on the different languages, specifically more in the Python and C++. So
That's great. And before I ask I have some questions about the technical aspects of your research. But before that, I just wanted to mention, like, two of the important things that you mentioned. One is like, experimentation. Like, I have so many, like, I have dealt with so many students where they think like if they run the program once, they're done, and they just don't want to like run and rerun experiments. But that's a large part of it. Doesn't matter, like, whether you're doing data science or you're doing microbiology. Like, you run an experiment, you learn from it. I mean, if it works in the first go, great, right? But if it doesn't, like, you learn from your previous mistakes, you modify the experiment, and you rerun it again, right? And you need to have patience to do that in order to
patient.
make sure. Yeah, and just because you failed the first 10 times doesn't mean you don't get the result, or that the work you were doing is not important. Absolutely. And I think the other thing you mentioned was collaboration. And I think, like, that is an important aspect of data science, right? Because, we are working with weather, like, but like, I don't know about you, I don't have any training in understanding the weather, right? How pressure changes causes tornado. I don't know, right? So, I mean, like, even though I do data science, if I wanted to work with weather data, I would have to collaborate with someone who understands weather data, right? So that collaboration, that is very important in data science, that domain knowledge, and be willing to work with the, like, learn the domain knowledge. It doesn't have to be just weather, right? It can be like, health, it can be like social dynamics, it can be anything, right? It can be any domain. The other thing I just wanted to clarify is, like, you mentioned multi-agent systems, right? So can you just explain, like, how drones are connected to multi-agent systems, and, like, once again, briefly, we don't have a lot of time, but, like, how do drones constitute the multi-agent system that you mentioned?
Sorry, I missed that part. That's a connection with multi-agent and which part?
Drones, you talked about
Ah,
drones.
drones. Ah, drones. Yeah, for the drones, I mean, we have a two different actually platform. One of them, we have a set of the drones, not one drones. So we have a multi-drones, multiple drones that they can share the information, for example, the weather forecasting. So instead of having just one drone and just individually they work together, it's important that also they have a combination of them so they can collaborate in this way so they can exchange the knowledge. And also we have also the points for example, for localization and mapping. For example, having the localize itself in that area, or we can localize the environment with only one agent, maybe is not efficient because a lot of data you need to process. The idea in general for multi-agent system is that how we can having like a team working with like instead of having data in one agent to processing by its own or sending to the central model, we may actually lose the connection. But if we can have it split the model, kind of have some redundancy help us. So this is the area that we are interested in to, and also the other thing is the heterogeneity. For example, if you have a different types of the, for example, aerial vehicles or even the ground and aerial, how you can exchange the knowledge and collaborate to figure out, for example, wildfire detection, something like that, or even detect that where the damage happens. Or, for example, you have the drone that it can go up of the area and then find where the damage happens, and then it sends a signal to the race car or the car, the vehicle, that, oh, this is the area that they need help. So you have to go there and, for example, have some service for helping the people that they are in need. This type of thing. So having the collaboration either between two similar um, um, system or between different type of the system.
Okay. I still have a lot of questions for both you and Dr. Akbar, but we are short on time. So I'm going to go to Sadia. And what I want you to talk about is, like, as you are describing your research, I kind of also want you to focus on how you think these um, skills that you're learning, or the project, or the research that you're working on, Sadia, how does that reflect outside your academic life, right? So whether if you want to join industry, how does it help you with joining the industry, or just, like, in your life in general, like, how does the research that you're doing in data science help you?
So, my research interest at this moment is social network analysis and political polarization. So, I'm trying to identify political polarization on different social media platforms like Twitter and Gab. So basically, those platforms that actually disseminates more misinformation, that helps spreading this misinformations. So I'm trying to analyze this polarization in different level of granularities, like news articles, titles, social media posts. So what I do, since people like to express their opinions on social media platforms without thinking much, and what causes this polarization is people with the same thinking ability. They try to consume information that aligns with their previous beliefs. So they tend to, agreeing or viewing contents that actually matches with their views. So this forms a like an echo chamber in these social media platforms, and which actually helps spreading this misinformation, hate speech, polarization. So in times like election or COVID-19, so this misinformation spreading and political polarizations increases a lot because people kind of picks up the information that goes with their thoughts and kind of forms the echo chamber. So what we try to do is my current project is about analyzing this polarization in the news article level, and we have collected news article sources from some established websites like All Sites. So we try to see what these news sources actually have, what kind of political alignment, and we try to map that back to the news article. So this is just a summary of the project I'm doing. So I am also incorporating the external knowledge to build this polarization identification. So to do this project, I think I have learned many complex tools and how can I link some external knowledge into one of the data sets I already have. So we have leveraged the attention mechanism. So uh, sorry. So I have learned
I'm
this
sorry about
new,
that.
that's okay. So I have learned these new techniques, and I think this will help me to grow more and learn more these skills. And one thing that I have learned so far, and I still need to learn, is time management. So what I was in my first year of PhD, I think I have definitely improved from that time. So I have improved my time management skill, and to balance a bit between the work I do and the coursework. So yeah, I guess I still need to learn that more, but that would be some of my learnings so far.
Um, and so do you think like, because your research kind of helps you dig deeper into like what goes behind the scene in social media platforms, do you think that makes you a more responsible social media user, or do you think that makes you more objective when using social media, or just like a more objective in when making your decisions in general?
That's a great question. That definitely helps. So now I understand what goes behind the human psychology when they see a content without much of fact checking. They just share that information. And also, I read few articles why actually people do that and how can it be reduced. So if we could, incorporate some warning label that this might be not authentic, this can be misused. So definitely it helped me to the way how I view the contents on these platforms and not just believe in everything that we see. So yeah, it definitely helps.
Okay, great. We are almost at the end of this panel, but before we go, I just want to open up the floor to the entire panel and kind of ask you, like, how do you see the like oftentimes we think industry and academia are like mutually exclusive, or like if you are interested in one you cannot be interested in another, and like oftentimes we think that like innovation is going on mostly in the industry, which is not wrong, but at the same time like the birth of deep learning happened within the brains of some professor sitting behind his computer in his department, right? So like, how do you think like the like this, what kind of synergy do you think there is between the industry and the academia, like partnerships or collaborations that you know of, like how they help one another, or like how they're different from one another, and like any word of advice you have for our viewers, like in whether in choosing, like some of them may already know which is like they want to join industry, which is great. Some of them may already know they want to join the academia, which is great, but some of our viewers may be undecided and may not know, like whether to join academia or industry. Like what kind of advice would you give them? We will start with Dr. Abbas.
Yeah, actually, in general, in both like academia and industry, if it's a research position, you may do some kind of similar work, but at the end, it's completely different. Like being in academia, especially being a faculty, is completely different world. That your job is not just only doing a research, so you should like with like working with students, mentoring them, doing some service for department, teaching. So there are many different aspects that you should consider before choosing which one is the best. Also, like maybe what I like as an academy in academia is the flexibility. Like you can work whatever you like, but in industry that maybe you may not have. Like what is the important for that the company? Usually you work for the company, not for you. Like in academia, you work for you. That's the biggest difference for me to choose academia, like the being flexible as a, especially as a time also, like as a female, like or even in general, like as a human, like we have kids, so there are lots of things we should take care other than the work. So that's having that flexibility is also a good side for academia.
Absolutely. Academia, I do believe academia like provides us with a lot of flexibility. That is absolutely true. Um, Dr. Habibi?
Yes, already I think Dr. Kak was mentioned that all the differences. Only thing that I said that like I really like the flexibility, but on the other side, it's kind of it gives you this flexibility, but then it also occupy all of your mind every time. Even I mean for industry, you don't need to maybe worry about your projects or your work. Um, during the weekend, but even when you come back from the work, but during the academia, you need to have this capability that you can manage, or still you need to manage it because as you know that yeah we have other life, it's not just our work, so we need to learn and also experience and also be ready for that. You need to separate that so to have a balance, good balance. So having the academia job I think gives you this flexibility and I really like that. That's why I chose that. But we need to also be careful about it, how we can split it between what your life other part of your life and your career life. So yeah, I think that's and but the other question that you mentioned is about the do we need a connection and collaboration with industry. I think it's very important, especially both in this in terms of the funding, of course, and grant, which is the other areas that we need to work on it. So writing the proposals and having the funding and resources, I mean, financial resources for doing our research. So we need to have a good actually connection and collaboration. And of course, if you have a good collaboration and connection with them, then you know more about the real challenges in the world and you can do and the what we actually it's and we can try to fill the gap so between the like the industry and the academia.
So one thing that I am hearing is that like time management is a very important skill to have in order to be like whether you are in industry or in academia, or especially if you're in academia, making sure you have that good job work-life balance. Time management is very crucial, and that's the skill that students should begin developing as soon as possible. And we heard Sadia say that, like, she's doing her best to learn the skill. And of course, like, as a student, it is, I mean, that's the perfect time to learn. Sadia, do you want to add anything, like, or do you have any words of advice, like, based on your experience that you want to share with our viewers, in academia, or like, if they want to join industry?
So I think Dr. Habibi and Dr. Agbas has covered almost everything. So being a student, what I can think of is, so I guess it would be best to explore both of the fields and figure out which works the best for yourself, because everybody is different and everybody's preferences are different. So I think the best way would be to explore the fields.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And like I said, we are a little short on time, so I am going to end it soon, but I just want to tell you, panelists, that you guys were wonderful. You guys I mean, we haven't been able to go into depth on a lot of the topics, a lot of the points that you guys brought forth, but like, you guys did bring in a lot of important questions and a lot of important points that I think, like, we need to keep track of as we, like, decide which career paths track we want to pursue. Any last words? Is there like any last words from our panelists? No?
That's,
Okay.
just try to learn. That's a great area to learn. Start from somewhere. They will, I think, end up in a good position with them.
Yeah, and like, I think we all share your sentiment that we want them to end up where their heart takes, and we want them to do well. So with that, well wishes for all our viewers and for ourselves. Let's not forget ourselves.
Never give up. Just I want to add that, never give up.
Never give up. That's it. Big appetite for learning, never give up, keep at it, and you will find success. And on that high note, let's end the career panel here. And it was wonderful having you all here. Thank you so much for taking time to join the panel today and talking to our viewers.
Thank you for your.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your invitation. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
See you guys.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Nice to see you. Have a good
See
day.
you.
Bye.
Bye.